Hi guys, I'm your English teacher Kay with ISpeakSpokeSpoken.com, and today I'm going to show you 250 very important words in American English. I've broken down the vocabulary into different groups, and let's get started. The first group is everyday life. So these are words that you will hear in your everyday life. And first we have apartment. We have emphasis on the second syllable, apartment, apartment. It's not a house, but it's a unit within a building, a residential building. Let's look at an example sentence. She just moved into a new apartment downtown. And the next one, we have elevator. We have emphasis on the first syllable, elevator, elevator. For example, take the elevator to the 10th floor. Next, we have sidewalk. Emphasis on the first syllable, sidewalk, sidewalk. And this is particular to American English. In British English, they say pavement. In American English, we say sidewalk, which is the stretch next to the street where people walk, where cars are driving in the street itself. And for example, we walked down the sidewalk looking at the shops. Next is trash can, trash can. Sometimes in British English, you'll hear rubbish bin, but in American English, we say trash can. For example, please throw it in the trash can. And finally, we have vacation. Stress the second syllable, vacation, vacation. This is when you have a break from work or a break from school and you go somewhere maybe nice and warm, like a tropical beach. For example, we're planning a vacation to Florida. In our next section, we have vocabulary related to food and dining. The first one is zucchini. Now this is tricky because it is an Italian word, but this is what we use in American English. Zucchini has emphasis on the second syllable, zucchini, zucchini. For example, I added zucchini to the salad. And next we have eggplant. We stress the first syllable, eggplant, eggplant. Sometimes in British English, you'll hear this called aubergine. It's the purple vegetable in the nightshade family of vegetables. For example, we're having grilled eggplant tonight. And next we have cookie. It's not cookie, it's cookie, cookie. We stress that first syllable, cookie, cookie. For example, would you like a chocolate chip cookie? I would. And next we have chips. So chips are very thin slices of fried potatoes. In British English, chips are what we call French fries, or the long fried pieces of potato. But in American English, chips mean the thinly sliced fried potatoes that you get in a plastic bag. For example, we bought a large bag of chips. And finally, we have takeout. We stress the first syllable, takeout, takeout. For example, let's get takeout from our favorite restaurant. So takeaway is when you don't sit and eat in the restaurant, you order the food and take it with you to eat at home. Don't forget to click here to download all of the slides that we're covering today and take a quiz at the end. Our next group of words is about transportation. First, we have truck. He drives a large pickup truck. So a truck is a car or a vehicle that has a large space in the back to haul many things or heavy things, usually for construction or farm work. Next, we have gasoline. We stress the first syllable, gasoline, gasoline. For example, we need to stop for gasoline soon. Sometimes in British English, you'll hear petrol, but in American English, we say gasoline, the fuel that you put inside your car. And next is freeway. Stress the first syllable, freeway, freeway. For example, the freeway was packed during rush hour. So of course, the freeway is a large highway that you can drive very fast on. And next we have SUV, which is an acronym for sport, utility, vehicle. Normally, in American English, we shorten it and we just say SUV. It's a kind of vehicle that you can drive perhaps off-road or use for sporting adventures. For example, they bought an SUV for more space. And next we have subway. stress the first syllable. Subway. Subway. Sometimes you'll hear, perhaps in British English, it's referred to as the metro, but it is the underground public transportation system. For example, taking the subway is faster than driving in the city. In our next group of words, these are all about education. You're probably familiar with some of these, but let's go over them. College, we stress the first syllable. College. College. In American English, college and university can be used interchangeably. For example, she is going to college in California. And next we have lecture. Stress the first syllable. Lecture. Lecture. Good. Lecture is the presentation or the class that your professor presents. For example, the lecture was on American history. Next we have major. Stress the first syllable. Major. Major. This is the specialty of your college degree. For example, he's majoring in biology. And we have advisor with stress on the second syllable. Advisor. Advisor. And this is a professional who works at a college or university who gives advice to students about their academic path. For example, her advisor recommended several courses. And finally, in our education group, we have dorm. Dorm is special student housing that's normally shared with other students on the university campus. For example, he moved into the dorm last week. Our next section of very important words has to do with government and politics. The first one is Congress. We stress the first syllable, Congress. Congress. This is a component of government in American English. For example, Congress is discussing the new legislation. And next we have Senate. We stress the first syllable, Senate. Senate. This is another voting body in the American political system. For example, the Senate voted on the bill yesterday. And next we have president. We stress the first syllable, president. President. Of course, this is the most important political leader in American politics. The president will address the nation tonight. And next we have election. We stress the second syllable, election. Election. For example, the election results will be announced tomorrow. And finally, we have democracy. Stress the second syllable, democracy. Democracy. Democracy is a core American value, and of course for many others. Now let's look at our next section, which is about sports and leisure. Baseball has a stress on the first syllable, baseball. Baseball. I'm sure you're familiar with this sport where the athletes use a bat to hit a ball as hard as they can. For example, baseball is considered America's pastime. It's our favorite sport. Next we have basketball. Maybe it's our second favorite sport. We stress the first syllable, basketball. Basketball. For example, she plays basketball on the school team. Next we have football. Of course, in American English, football is the game with a ball that's thrown with the hand, not the foot. I know it's weird, but this is the meaning in American English for football. Most of the other English speakers in the world mean soccer when they say football, but in American English, the game that is played with a ball kicked with your foot is called soccer. So, football, the game where you throw the ball with your hand. We put the stress on the first syllable, football. Football. For example, football season starts in the fall. And next we have hiking. Stress the first syllable, hiking. Hiking. Hiking is when you walk up a mountain or you walk in the forest. For example, we went hiking in the national park. And finally, we have barbecue. Most of the time in American English, you will see the word barbecue shortened to BBQ. Once in a while, you might hear a native speaker say BBQ, but most of the time you'll hear us say barbecue, even when it's spelled this way. And we stress the first syllable, barbecue, barbecue. And this is grilled meat. So for example, we're having a barbecue this weekend. And don't forget to click here on the I in the corner to download all these slides and take a quiz at the end to make sure that you've learned these 250 very important American English words. The next section is about technology and innovation. First, we have smartphone. We stress the first syllable, smartphone, smartphone. And of course, this is the very important piece of technology that we all keep in our pockets. It is our cell phone. For example, my smartphone has all my important apps. Next, we have laptop. We stress the first syllable, laptop, laptop. And of course, this is a small foldable computer that you can use on your lap or on top of your legs. For example, I bought a new laptop for work. And next we have app. App is the shortened version of application. You'll hear most native speakers refer to it simply as app. And of course, these are the websites designed just for your phone or for your desktop that you can use to do a variety of activities or to organize different kinds of information. For example, download the app to your phone. I'm sure you probably have the YouTube app on your phone, right? And next we have social media. We emphasize the first syllable in social, social. And media, we emphasize the first syllable, media, media. Altogether, social media. Social media can refer to Instagram or Facebook. And for example, we can say social media has changed the way we communicate. And finally, we have streaming with stress on the first syllable, streaming, streaming. For example, streaming movies at home is very convenient. In our next section, we have words about business and work. First up, we have entrepreneur. We have a slight stress on the first syllable, but the main stress is on the last syllable, entrepreneur, entrepreneur. This one might be a little tricky because originally it's a French word, but we use it in American English as well. He's an entrepreneur with several successful startups. And next we have resume. We stress the first syllable, resume, resume. It's another French word that we use in American English. This is your official list of professional experience that you give when you make a job application. For example, update your resume before applying for the job. And next we have meeting. Stress the first syllable, meeting, meeting. Of course, this is when you get together with a group of people. For example, the meeting is scheduled for 9 a.m. And next we have startup. We stress the first syllable, startup, startup. A startup is a new company with an innovative idea. For example, her startup just received funding. And finally, we have telecommute. We have the main stress on the last syllable, telecommute, telecommute. And this is when you work remotely. For example, many people now telecommute instead of going to the office. Our next group of words is about health and wellness. First off, we have fitness. We stress the first syllable, fitness, fitness. And this is your overall physical strength or physical ability. For example, fitness is an important part of her daily routine. And next we have organic. We stress the second syllable, organic, organic. And this refers to food that was grown without any harmful chemicals. For example, we prefer to buy organic fruits and vegetables. Next, we have yoga. We stress the first syllable, yoga, yoga. And this is, of course, the strengthening and stretching routine that is very popular. For example, yoga classes are offered at the gym. And next, we have wellness with stress on the first syllable, wellness, wellness. And this refers to your overall physical and mental health. For example, the wellness program includes mental health days. And finally, in this group, we have insurance. We stress the second syllable, insurance, insurance. For example, health insurance is a hot topic in politics. And our next group of very important words is about culture and entertainment. First, we have Hollywood. We stress the first syllable, Hollywood, Hollywood. This is a place in California in the United States where most of the movies and TV shows are made. For example, Hollywood is the center of the film industry. Next, we have Broadway. We emphasize the first syllable, Broadway, Broadway. This refers to a street and specifically a theater in New York City on the opposite side of the country from Hollywood, where many plays and musicals are performed that become very popular in the rest of the country and the rest of the English-speaking world. For example, we saw a play on Broadway last night. Next, we have jazz, jazz. For example, jazz originated in the United States. Our next word, sitcom, has stress on the first syllable, sitcom, sitcom. This is a shortened word from situational comedy. It's a kind of TV show, popular in the United States. For example, that sitcom is my favorite TV show. And next we have superhero. We stress the first syllable, superhero, superhero. I'm sure you're familiar with this kind of character in movies or comic books. You can think of Superman, for example. Superhero movies are very popular. Our next group of very important American English words is about environment and nature. National park. We have emphasis on the first syllable, national park, national park. This is a place where the government has designated environmental protection where people can go and enjoy hiking or camping. For example, Yosemite is a famous national park in the United States. Next, we have recycling with emphasis on the second syllable, recycling, recycling. And of course, you know that if you care about the environment, it's important to sort your trash appropriately and to recycle. For example, recycling bins are provided in many public areas. And next we have wildlife. We stress the first syllable, wildlife, wildlife. And this refers to any kind of animal that lives out in the wild. So it's not a house cat or your pet dog. It could be deer, bear, cougar, that kind of thing. For example, the wildlife in Alaska is diverse and fascinating. And next we have ecosystem, with a stress on the first syllable. Ecosystem, ecosystem. And this refers to a group of plants and animals in nature. For example, the Everglades is a unique ecosystem. And finally, we have sustainability, with the stress here, sustainability, sustainability. One more time, sustainability. Good. And this is a general concept, which means we're not damaging the environment or the resources. For example, there's a growing focus on sustainability in business. And our next group of words is all about holidays and celebrations. First off, we have Thanksgiving with a stress on the second syllable, Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving. This is a holiday usually in the fall where families and loved ones get together and make a big special meal. For example, Thanksgiving is celebrated with a family dinner. Next, we have independence, with a stress on the third syllable, independence, independence. And this refers to when a country has celebrated their national independence. For example, fireworks are common on Independence Day. And next we have Halloween, with a stress on the last syllable, Halloween, Halloween. This holiday is the last day of October where many people wear scary costumes and children go to their neighbors' houses knocking on the door saying trick or treat. For example, Children dress up and go trick-or-treating on Halloween. And next we have Labor Day. We stress the first syllable in labor, labor. For example, Labor Day marks the end of summer. And finally, we have Memorial Day. We stress the second syllable here, Memorial Day, Memorial Day. Memorial Day honors those who have died in military service. Don't forget, you can click here to download all of these slides and take a quiz at the end. Our next group of very important American English words is about daily routines. Our first word is commute. We stress the second syllable, commute, commute. And this is how you get to work. For example, his commute to work takes about 1 hour. And next we have grocery shopping. We stress the first syllable in grocery, grocery, and the first syllable in shopping, shopping. Grocery shopping is when you buy your food to cook at home. For example, we do the grocery shopping on the weekends. And next we have laundry with a stress on the first syllable, laundry, laundry. And this is when you wash and fold and dry and put away your clothes. For example, I usually do laundry on Sundays. And next we have workout. We stress the first syllable, workout, workout. And this is exercise that you do. For example, she has a morning workout routine. And finally, we have brunch. Brunch is a meal between breakfast and lunch, so we have combined those words to make brunch. And this is normally something that we do on the weekends and we go to a restaurant to enjoy. For example, let's meet for brunch on Sunday. And in our next group of words, these are all about economy and finance. First, we have stock market. We emphasize the first syllable in market, market. Altogether, stock market. For example, the stock market has been volatile lately. And next we have budget with a stress on the first syllable, budget, budget. So a budget is how you organize your money, how you organize your finances. For example, we need to review the household budget. And next we have investment. We stress the second syllable, investment, investment. And this is when you put money towards something that you're hoping to earn more back in time. For example, real estate can be a good investment. And next we have taxes. Everyone knows taxes. Perhaps everyone hates taxes. For example, taxes are due in April. Next we have savings account. We stress the first syllable in savings, savings, savings. And account, we stress the second syllable, account, account. Altogether, savings account. For example, I've been adding to my savings account each month. Next, we have words about the legal system. First off, we have jury duty. We stress the first syllable in jury, jury, and the first syllable in duty, duty. Altogether, jury duty. This is the obligation that citizens have to serve on a trial. For example, I was called in for jury duty. Next, we have lawsuit with a stress on the first syllable, lawsuit, lawsuit. For example, the company is facing a lawsuit. Maybe they're being sued, maybe someone's pressing charges. And our next word we have attorney. If you have a lawsuit, you must have an attorney or a lawyer. We stress the second syllable in this word, attorney, attorney. For example, you may need to consult an attorney. And next we have verdict. We stress the first syllable, verdict, verdict. This is the decision that the judge or the court gives after a case. For example, the jury will return a verdict soon. And finally, we have constitution with stress on the syllable here, a secondary stress on the first syllable, constitution, constitution. For example, the Constitution is the foundation of American law, as well as for other countries. Our next group of words is about media and communication. Our first term is news outlet, with a stress on the first syllable in outlet. Outlet, outlet. For example, she works for a major news outlet. And next we have podcast, with a stress on the first syllable. Podcast, podcast. Normally, people have an app on their phone to listen to different podcasts. For example, I listen to that podcast during my commute. And next we have blog. Blog. Good. So a blog is a website where people write about something that they are interested in. For example, a blog with recipes or a fashion blog. For example, he writes a blog about technology. And next we have viral. Stress on the first syllable. Viral. Viral. This is when something online becomes extremely popular. For example, the video went viral overnight. And finally, we have influencer, with stress on the first syllable. Influencer. Influencer. I'm sure you're familiar with many influencers on TikTok or Instagram. For example, she's a well-known fashion influencer. Our next group of words is about the education system. First off, we have high school. High school in the American system is usually for ages from 15 to 18. For example, he's a sophomore in high school. Sophomore refers to the grade level. In American high schools, normally we have freshman, junior, sophomore, and the final year is senior. So normally in the American system, freshmen are around 15 years old, juniors are around 16, sophomores are about 17, and seniors are about 18 years old. And next we have GPA, which is an acronym for grade point average. We stress the first syllable in average, average. In the American system, this is your average score that you receive on your marks for tests and courses. For example, her GPA is impressive. A top GPA is 4.0. This is the highest GPA. And next we have scholarship. We stress the first syllable, scholarship, scholarship. This refers to money that you receive usually as a university student to pay for your studies. It's usually given to students who have a really high GPA. For example, he received a scholarship for college. And next we have SAT, another acronym which refers to Scholastic Assessment Test. Scholastic, we stress the second syllable, scholastic, scholastic. And assessment, we stress the second syllable, assessment, assessment. Altogether, Scholastic Assessment Test. Most of the time, you're going to hear native speakers simply say SAT. For example, she's preparing for the SAT. This is a standardized test most students have to take in order to apply for university. And finally, we have alumni. We stress the second syllable, alumni, alumni. And these are students who have previously attended university. For example, the university has a large alumni network, or people who attended the university in the past are still connected maybe with social media. In our next group of words, this is all about healthcare. First off, we have primary care physician. We stress the first syllable in primary, primary. And physician, we stress the second syllable, physician, physician. In other words, this is your normal doctor that you go for routine checkups or normal health problems. It's not a specialist. For example, my primary care physician recommended a specialist. And next we have pharmacy. We stress the first syllable, pharmacy, pharmacy. Remember that PH can make the F sound in American English. Pharmacy. For example, the prescription can be filled at any pharmacy. This is the place where you go to get your medication. Next we have insurance. You may notice that we covered this word in another category, but we can use these words in different contexts, and repetition is very important when you are learning English. We stress the second syllable in insurance. Insurance. One more time. Insurance. Good. And this is the coverage that you get to cover different health issues. For example, dental insurance is separate from health insurance. In American English, the topic of insurance is a bit complicated because our system is a bit complicated. But just remember, when you're using this word, stress the second syllable. Insurance. And next we have pediatrician. We stress the syllable here with the main stress, pediatrician, pediatrician. And this is a doctor for children. For example, the pediatrician sees patients up to age 18. It means only until the age of 18 you can see a pediatrician, and after that, once you're an adult, then you can see a primary care physician. And finally, we have emergency with a stress on the second syllable, emergency, emergency. And room. Emergency room is the first place that you go to a hospital when you're having an emergency or a very urgent health problem. For example, he was taken to the emergency room. Don't forget to click here to download all these slides and take a quiz to make sure you've really learned all these 250 very important American English words. Our next group is about technology and innovation. We have Silicon Valley. We stress the first syllable here, silicone, silicone, and the first syllable in valley, valley. This is a place in California where a lot of technology and innovation began. For example, Silicon Valley is home to many tech companies. And again, we have startup with stress on the first syllable, startup, startup. For example, the startup just launched its first product. And again, we have innovation with stress on the third syllable, innovation, innovation. For example, she's known for her innovation in the field. And next we have gadget. We stress the first syllable, gadget, gadget. This is a bit more of a general term that we use to describe a piece of technology or a tool. For example, this gadget has made my life so much easier. And finally, we have software. We stress the first syllable, software, software. And this is programming on your computer. For example, he's developing software for mobile devices. And next we have words for sports. Super Bowl, we stress the first syllable in super, super. So Super Bowl is the name for a football competition that's extremely popular in the United States. For example, the Super Bowl is watched by millions. And next we have the National Basketball Association, which we always shorten to NBA. National has stress on the first syllable, national, national. And basketball has stress on the first syllable as well, basketball, basketball. And association, we have stress here almost on the end of the word, association, association. But normally you will hear native speakers simply say NBA. For example, he dreams of playing in the NBA. So this is the professional group of basketball. And next we have marathon with stress on the first syllable, marathon, marathon. And this is a big kind of competition that amateurs can participate in. For example, she's training for the New York City Marathon. And next we have college football. Of course, you remember that college has stress on the first syllable, college, college. And again, you'll hear native speakers use college and university interchangeably. And you remember football also has stress on the first syllable, football, football. So college football isn't quite yet professional football, but it's still very important and very popular in American culture. For example, college football is very popular in the fall. And finally, we have Olympics with stress on the second syllable, Olympics, Olympics. And of course, you know this extremely popular international competition for sports. For example, the athlete competed in the Summer Olympics. Our next group of words is about work and employment. First off, we have freelance. We stress the first syllable, freelance, freelance. And this is when you don't have a boss and a job you have to go to every single day, but you have a professional exchange to do your job. For example, she works freelance, so her schedule is very flexible. And next we have internship with stress on the first syllable, internship, internship. And this is a kind of job or professional training where normally you don't get paid. It's usually for college and university students to get professional experience before they finish their studies. For example, he got an internship at a law firm for the summer. And next we have salary with stress on the first syllable, salary, salary. And this is the amount of money that you earn per month or per year. For example, negotiating your salary is an important part of the job offer process. And next we have remote work. We stress the second syllable, remote work, remote work. I'm sure you're familiar with remote work because many people are no longer working at the office and instead working from home. For example, the company allows remote work for most employees. And finally, we have entrepreneurship. We stress this syllable here, entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship. And again, this word has French origins, but we use it in American English. For example, entrepreneurship requires creativity and risk-taking. Our next group of words is about housing and living. First off, we have lease. A lease is an agreement that you sign when you will pay rent for an apartment or a house or even a car. For example, they signed a 1-year lease for the apartment. And next we have mortgage. Even though there's a T in this word, you won't often hear native speakers pronounce the T. And we stress the first syllable, mortgage, mortgage. And this is the amount of money that you're obliged to pay for your house. For example, their mortgage payments are due at the beginning of each month. And next we have condo. We stress the first syllable, condo, condo. This is shortened from condominium, which you will often hear native speakers say, but most of the time we shorten it to condo. And this is an apartment that people normally own, just like you would a home, but it's in a larger residential building. For example, she bought a condo in the city. And next we have landlord with a stress on the first syllable, landlord, landlord. If you rent an apartment or you rent a home, which is owned by someone else, this person is called the landlord. For example, the landlord agreed to fix the heater by next week. And finally, we have suburb with stress on the first syllable, suburb, suburb. Again, this is shortened from suburban. An urban area is densely populated like a city, but a place that's farther from the city that doesn't have so many people, it's not so crowded, this is the suburb. Especially when we think about in the United States, where houses are spread out very far apart from each other, this kind of a place of housing is called suburb. For example, they moved to the suburbs for more space. Don't forget to click here to download all the slides and take the quiz at the end. Our next group of words is about travel and tourism. First off, we have itinerary with stress on the second syllable, itinerary, itinerary. And this is the plan that you make for your vacation or your trip. For example, our itinerary includes visits to several national parks. And next we have road trip. Make sure you're pronouncing road trip, road trip. Good. And this is a vacation or a trip that you make with your car. For example, they're planning a road trip across the country. Next we have flight. It has the long I sound, flight, flight. And of course, this is when you get on a plane and you fly to your destination. For example, our flight to New York leaves early in the morning. And next we have tourist. We stress the first syllable, tourist, tourist. if you take a trip somewhere and you don't live there, you don't have family there, you're just visiting the important places for the first time, then you are a tourist. For example, tourists flock to the Grand Canyon each year. And finally, we have luggage. We stress the first syllable. Luggage. Luggage. One more time. Luggage. Good. And this refers to any bags or suitcases that you take with you on your trip. For example, make sure to weigh your luggage before heading to the airport, because if you don't, they're going to charge you extra. I learned the hard way. Our next group of words is about arts and culture. First off, we have museum, with stress on the second syllable. Museum. Museum. And of course, this is an important place you go to look at historical artifacts all put together in one place. For example, the museum has an impressive collection of modern art. And next is gallery, with stress on the first syllable. Gallery. Gallery. And this is usually a place which collects art. For example, the gallery opening showcased local artists. And next we have concert. We stress the first syllable. Concert. Concert, which is a musical performance. For example, we have tickets to a concert in the park. And next we have Broadway. Remember, Broadway has emphasis on the first syllable. Broadway. Broadway. Seeing a Broadway show is a must-do in New York City. So for example, if you are a tourist in New York City, you must go to a Broadway show. It's a cultural experience. And finally, we have literature, with stress on the first syllable. Literature. Literature. We tend to really say this word quickly. I'll slow it down a bit. Literature. One more time with me. Literature. Good. And this refers to important books or novels or pieces of writing. For example, American literature is studied around the world. Our next group of words is about government and law. First off, we have senator, with stress on the first syllable. Senator. Senator. And of course, this is an elected representative who serves on the Senate. For example, the senator is campaigning for re-election. And next we have congressman or congresswoman. We stress the first syllable in congressman, congressman, and congresswoman, congresswoman. And this is a representative who serves on Congress. For example, our congresswoman held a town hall meeting. And next we have bill, and this is proposed legislation. For example, the bill is under review in the Senate. And next we have Supreme Court. We stress the second syllable in supreme, supreme. Altogether, Supreme Court. This is the highest court in the American political system. For example, the Supreme Court made a landmark decision. And finally, we have legislation, with stress on the third syllable. Legislation, legislation, which refers to laws. For example, new legislation aims to improve public health. And our next group of words is all about the environment and sustainability. First off, we have renewable energy. We stress the second syllable in renewable, renewable. And energy, we stress the first syllable, energy, energy. Altogether, renewable energy. And this refers to clean energy alternatives, not like fossil fuels or things which damage the environment. For example, the state is investing in renewable energy projects. And next we have carbon footprint, with stress on the first syllable in carbon, carbon. And footprint, we also stress the first syllable, footprint, footprint. Altogether, carbon footprint. And this refers to the impact that individuals make on the environment. For example, individuals can take steps to reduce their carbon footprint. And next we have global warming, with stress on the first syllable in global, global. And warming, we stress the first syllable, warming, warming. So this refers to the temperature increasing around the world, which is affecting climate and weather and also the environment. For example, global warming is a critical issue facing the planet. And next we have conservation. We have a slight stress on the first syllable, but the main stress is here in conservation. Conservation. And this refers to efforts that are done to help protect the environment. For example, wildlife conservation efforts have increased. And remember, wildlife refers to animals that live in the wild, like bears, deer, cougars. And finally, we have eco-friendly with a stress on the first syllable, eco-friendly, eco-friendly. And this is shortened from ecological, but most of the time you will hear native speakers shorten it to say eco-friendly. For example, they're looking for eco-friendly alternatives to traditional products. The next group of very important words is about science and technology. First off, we have artificial intelligence, with a stress here on the third syllable in artificial, artificial. And the stress in the second syllable for intelligence, intelligence. Sometimes you'll hear native speakers say artificial intelligence, but many times we use the acronym AI. For example, AI is transforming industries across the board. And next we have biotechnology. There's the main stress here on this syllable, biotechnology, biotechnology. And bio is shortened from biology, but this word is long enough on its own, so we shorten it to biotechnology. For example, biotechnology is crucial for medical advancements. And next we have cybersecurity, with the stress here on this syllable, cybersecurity, cybersecurity. For example, cybersecurity is a top priority for companies, and this refers to the digital security that companies need to use in order to protect everything that they do digitally or with the computer. And next we have data analytics. We have a secondary stress on the first syllable with the main stress here on the third syllable in analytics, analytics. And this refers to how information is analyzed. For example, data analytics helps businesses understand their customers better. And finally, we have engineering with the main stress on the third syllable, engineering, engineering. For example, she is studying engineering at university. There's many different kinds of engineering, and you'll probably hear native speakers, especially if they're university students, talking about the kind of engineering that they're studying, for example, civil engineering or computer engineering, but it's also a general field. And our next group of words is about social media and communication. First off, we have tweet, and this word, of course, was used more often when Twitter was still referred to as Twitter. Even though the name has changed for the app, we continue to use the word tweet. For example, his tweet went viral overnight. And next we have hashtag with stress on the first syllable, hashtag, hashtag. Of course, hashtag is this symbol, which can be used to connect different social media users and different topics. For example, use the event hashtag to follow the discussion. And next we have blog. You remember that a blog is a website that people use to showcase or write about their different interests or passions. For example, she writes a popular fashion blog. And again, we have podcast. Remember, the stress is on the first syllable, podcast, podcast. For example, their podcast covers topics on history and culture. And finally, we have influencer. Once again, stress the first syllable, influencer, influencer. Do you remember what it means? Right, someone who is very popular with their social media presence, who is influencing trends. For example, the influencer partnered with a major brand for promotion. Don't forget to click here to download all these slides, and you can leave a comment or question in the space down below. Our next group of words is about health and fitness, and the first one is workout, with stress on the first syllable. Workout, workout. And this is your regular exercise that you do to stay fit and healthy. For example, her workout routine includes cardio and strength training. So cardio is a shortened form of cardiovascular, which refers to your heart health. And next we have vegan, with stress on the first syllable. It's not vegan, it's vegan. Vegan, vegan. And this refers to eating foods that do not contain any animal products. For example, he's been following a vegan diet for health reasons. And next we have meditation with stress on the first syllable. Meditation, meditation. And this is a mind-clearing practice that people do many times associated with yoga. For example, meditation helps her manage stress. And next we have nutrition with stress on the second syllable. Nutrition, nutrition. And this is the overall health and contents of food that we eat. For example, good nutrition is key to a healthy lifestyle. And finally, we have personal trainer. We stress the first syllable in personal, personal. And we stress the first syllable in trainer, trainer. So a personal trainer is someone who is a professional in the field of health and wellness and physical ability who will give you advice about exercise. For example, my personal trainer designed a new workout plan for me. Our next section is about fashion and lifestyle. And first off is trend, which is something that's very popular for a temporary amount of time. For example, that style is a major trend this season. And next we have designer, with stress on the second syllable. Designer, designer. And this usually refers to clothing or accessories that are special because it's made by a famous designer or a very well-known designer. For example, she wore a dress by a famous designer. And next we have vintage, with stress on the first syllable. Vintage, vintage. And this refers to old clothing of a special quality and a special style. For example, vintage clothing stores are popular in this area. And next we have makeup, with stress on the first syllable. Makeup, makeup. And of course, these are cosmetic products that you apply to your face to enhance your natural beauty. For example, the makeup tutorial shows how to create a natural look. And finally, we have lifestyle, with stress on the first syllable. Lifestyle, lifestyle. For example, his lifestyle blog features travel, fashion, and photography. Our next group of words is all about education and academics. First, we have semester. We stress the second syllable in semester, semester. In the American education system, at some colleges and universities, the school year is broken up into two parts. If it's broken up into 2 parts per year, then each part is called a semester. For example, the fall semester begins in August. Next, we have elective, with stress on the second syllable. Elective, elective. This is a kind of class or a kind of course that you take in college or university for your own personal enjoyment. It's not a required class, and it may not be a class that relates to your major, but it's a class that you're still interested in taking. For example, I chose photography as an elective this semester. And next we have dean. The dean is an official who oversees important administrative functions at a school. For example, the dean announced a new scholarship program. And next we have syllabus, with emphasis on the first syllable. Syllabus, syllabus. And this is the plan or the agreement that a professor shares with the class at the beginning of a semester to outline expectations and a plan for study. For example, the course syllabus outlines all the assignments and exams. And finally, we have tuition. we stress the second syllable, tuition, tuition. And this is the amount of money or the fee that students have to pay, which of course in the American system is very expensive. For example, tuition has increased for the upcoming academic year. Our next group of words is about technology and innovation. The first term is cloud computing. We put a stress here on the second syllable in computing, computing. For example, cloud computing allows us to access data from anywhere. So it's not information you save directly on your computer, but it's saved remotely. And our next term is virtual reality, with a stress on the first syllable in virtual, virtual. And stress on the second syllable in reality, reality. So oftentimes you will hear native speakers shorten this word and just use the acronym VR. So VR technology has improved significantly in recent years. And next we have social networking. We stress the first syllable in social, social. And networking, stress the first syllable, networking, networking. Altogether, social networking, this is generally how you connect with other people in a professional environment. For example, social networking sites are a great way to stay connected. And next we have app development. You remember that app is the shortened form of application. And development, we stress the second syllable in development, development. So app development is when professionals are working to invent or improve apps. For example, he's taking a course in app development. And finally, we have e-commerce. And we stress the second syllable, e-commerce, e-commerce. And we use this E as the shortened version of electronic. You'll rarely hear native speakers say electronic commerce. It's almost always shortened to e-commerce. For example, e-commerce sales have been growing steadily. The next group of words is about health and medicine. First off, we have vaccine, with a stress on the second syllable, vaccine, vaccine. And of course, you know this is the shot you get to protect you from diseases and viruses. For example, the flu vaccine is recommended annually. Our next word is telemedicine, with stress on the first syllable, telemedicine, telemedicine. And this could be a Zoom appointment that you have with your doctor to simply talk about health issues where you're not required to physically go into a doctor's office. For example, telemedicine has become more common for routine checkups. Again, this is just when you talk to your doctor about health issues, they don't physically need to examine your body. Next, we have pharmaceuticals. So it can be used as a noun or an adjective. It can be referring to medication that you get from a pharmacy, or it can refer to the industry which produces the medication. And we put the stress here on the third syllable, pharmaceuticals, pharmaceuticals. And don't forget, this PH makes the F sound. One more time, pharmaceuticals. For example, the pharmaceutical company released a new medication. And next we have mental health. We stress the first syllable, mental, mental. And don't forget to really make this TH sound with health. Remember to stick your tongue between your teeth. Health, health. All together, mental health. Good. And this refers to emotionally how well you're doing. For example, there's increasing awareness about the importance of mental health. And finally, we have physical therapy. We stress the first syllable in physical, physical. And therapy, we stress the first syllable. Don't forget that TH, stick your tongue out. Therapy, therapy. All together, physical therapy. Good. For example, if you have a problem with your muscles or your joints or you're recovering from an injury, you may see a professional who will help you physically recover. For example, she's undergoing physical therapy after the surgery. And our next group of words is about media and entertainment. Once again, we have streaming services with stress on the first syllable, streaming, streaming. And services, stress the first syllable, services, services. So these are apps that you use, maybe like Netflix, so that you can stream content like movies and TV shows. For example, streaming services offer a wide range of TV shows and movies. And next we have reality TV. We stress the second syllable in reality, reality. And of course, TV is shortened from television. Nowadays, you only hear native speakers say TV. And reality TV is typically a documentary style TV show, but of course we know that sometimes it's not exactly a documentary. There could be a bit of scripting that goes on behind the scenes. For example, reality TV has become a significant part of entertainment. And next we have documentary. We stress the third syllable in documentary, documentary. So this is usually the kind of film or TV show where the cameras are rolling and there's no script or no plan. If you think about watching nature documentaries, they're simply trying to capture the truth with the camera. Sometimes reality TV looks like it's a documentary, but we all know that there is a bit more planning that goes on. But let's get back to documentary. For example, the documentary highlights environmental issues. And next we have broadcast. We stress the first syllable, broadcast, broadcast. For example, the game will be broadcast live at 8 p.m. So broadcast is when events which are being filmed are shared in real time. And finally, we have series finale with a stress on the first syllable, series, series. And finale, stress the second syllable, finale, finale. So if there is a TV show which has many episodes, the last episode in the series is called the series finale. For example, the series finale drew millions of viewers. Our next group of words is about the legal system. We have plaintiff with stress on the first syllable, plaintiff, plaintiff. For example, the plaintiff filed a lawsuit for damages. So in the legal system, in the court system, the plaintiff is one of two parties involved. And next we have defendant. We stress the second syllable, defendant, defendant. And this is the other party involved in a court case. For example, the defendant denies all charges. And next we have subpoena. We stress the second syllable, subpoena, subpoena. And this is an obligatory document that's given by the legal system, the court system. For example, a subpoena was issued to obtain the documents. And next we have litigation with stress on the third syllable, litigation, litigation. And this refers to a kind of court case. For example, the litigation process can be lengthy and complex. And finally, we have settlement with stress on the first syllable, settlement, settlement. And this is typically how a court case is resolved, especially if there's the payment of money, for example. The parties reached a settlement out of court, which means the two parties involved in a court system decided how they would resolve the case, probably with one of the parties paying the other some money. And our next group of words is about environmental issues. We have climate change. Remember, there is a stress on the first syllable in climate, climate. For example, climate change impacts weather patterns globally. And we have recycle. You'll remember we stress the second syllable, recycle, recycle. For example, please recycle paper and plastic separately. And next we have sustainable development with a stress on the second syllable, sustainable, sustainable. And development, we also stress the second syllable, development, development. Altogether, sustainable development. And this refers to how things progress with technology in a way that doesn't damage the environment. For example, sustainable development aims to meet current needs without compromising future generations. And next we have carbon emissions. Remember, carbon has the stress on the first syllable, carbon, carbon. Emissions has stress on the second syllable, emissions, emissions. Altogether, carbon emissions. And this refers to the amount of carbon which is released in a process. For example, reducing carbon emissions is crucial to combat global warming. And finally, we have renewable resources with a stress here on the second syllable, renewable, renewable. And resources, we stress the first syllable, resources, resources. Altogether, renewable resources. And this refers to things that we take from the environment which can be replaced or regrown or regenerated. For example, renewable resources like solar and wind are key to a sustainable future. Don't forget to click here to download all these slides and take a quiz at the end to make sure you've learned all 250 of these very important words in American English. Our next group of words is about sports and recreation. First, we have playoffs. We stress the first syllable, playoffs, playoffs. And this is a kind of sports competition where the best performing teams compete against each other. For example, the team made it to the playoffs this year. And next we have fitness tracker. We stress the first syllable in fitness, fitness. And tracker, we stress the first syllable as well, tracker, tracker. So a fitness tracker is maybe an app or a device like a smartwatch that you use to keep track of your physical fitness. For example, my fitness tracker monitors my steps and heart rate. And next we have yoga mat. You remember that we stress the first syllable in yoga. And of course, yoga mat is the piece of foam you put on the floor in order to protect your knees and your hands when you are doing different yoga poses. For example, I bought a new yoga mat for class. And next we have league, league. And this is a group of professional or amateur sports. For example, he plays in a local basketball league. And finally, we have tournament. We stress the first syllable, tournament, tournament. And this is another kind of sports competition. For example, the tennis tournament attracts players from around the world. Our next group of words is about cultural norms and values. And first, we have diversity with stress on the second syllable, diversity, diversity. And of course, this refers to people coming from different racial, ethnic, country, and religious backgrounds. For example, diversity is celebrated in our community. We love different kinds of people. And next we have equality. We stress the second syllable, equality, equality. And of course, this refers to treating everyone equally. For example, the movement for equality gains more support each day. And next we have freedom. We stress the first syllable, freedom, freedom. For example, freedom of speech is a fundamental right. And next we have innovation. You remember that innovation has stress on the third syllable, innovation, innovation. And this means creating something new. For example, innovation is highly valued in the tech industry. And finally, we have volunteerism with stress on the third syllable, volunteerism, volunteerism. Of course, to volunteer means that you give your time without receiving any pay or other compensation. It's usually when you spend your time doing something you're passionate about to help others or to help perhaps environmental issues. For example, volunteerism is a big part of the American spirit. Our next group of words is about travel and exploration. First is backpacking. We stress the first syllable in backpacking, backpacking. Of course, you know that a backpack is the big bag that you carry on your back. And backpacking, as a verb, is the kind of travel that you do where every piece of clothing and everything you need for your travels fits in a backpack. Normally, we associate backpacking with college or university students who are traveling through Europe or South America or Southeast Asia, and they are doing so with very little luggage, just their backpacks. Sometimes it can also refer to traveling through the mountains where you are carrying your food and your tent in your backpack to do a camping trip. For example, backpacking through the national parks is an adventure. And next we have cruise. It's not cruise, it's cruise. Cruise. Good. And this is a trip that you take on a very fancy, very comfortable, large ship that you sleep on. For example, they went on a cruise to the Caribbean. And next we have landmark. We stress the first syllable, landmark. Landmark. And this refers to perhaps a building or a place that is very important for tourists to go sightseeing. For example, the Statue of Liberty is an iconic American landmark. And next we have tour guide. Tour guide is someone who leads groups of tourists or travelers to show them important places, points of interest, or landmarks. For example, the tour guide shared fascinating historical facts. And finally, we have visa. We stress the first syllable in visa. And of course, you know that visa is the permission you get that allows you to travel in certain countries, and people with different passports may be required to get different visas for their travels. For example, you'll need a visa for your trip to the United States. And our next group of words is about fashion and style. We have runway with stress on the first syllable. Runway, runway. And this refers to fashion shows which have a long place, kind of like a stage, for models to walk down and showcase the fashion designs. For example, the latest fashion trends debuted on the runway. And we have a tricky French word here that's commonly used in American English. You don't say the T, debuted, which means to be shown for the first time. And next we have wardrobe with a stress on the first syllable. Wardrobe, wardrobe. And this refers to the clothing that you own that showcases your own personal style. For example, she updated her wardrobe for the new season. Next we have haute couture, which is another French word that we commonly use in American English when we talk about fashion, especially high fashion. For example, haute couture shows feature custom, high fashion designs. And next we have accessorize. We stress the second syllable, accessorize, accessorize. And this is a verb which means you add things to your outfit, for example, earrings or a necklace or a hat. So it's not the main parts of your clothing, but it's the extra things that you use to accessorize. For example, accessorize your outfit with a statement necklace. And finally, we have denim. We stress the first syllable in denim, denim. And this is the fabric or the material that makes jeans. For example, denim jeans are a staple in American fashion. Don't forget to click here on this I to download all these slides and take a quiz at the end. You can also leave any comments or questions for me down below. Our next group of words is about personal development. First, we have mindfulness. We stress the first syllable, mindfulness, mindfulness. And we use this when we're talking about being present and focusing. For example, mindfulness practices can improve mental well-being. And next we have goal setting. We stress the first syllable in setting, setting. And of course, goal setting is when you set a goal that you would like to achieve. For example, goal setting is important for personal growth. And next we have resilience, with stress on the second syllable, resilience, resilience. And this is a kind of mental or emotional strength that you have to keep going even when things go wrong. For example, resilience is key to overcoming challenges. And next we have self-care. We stress the second syllable, self-care, self-care. And this is the way that you pamper yourself or do normal routines to maintain your health and well-being. For example, Self-care should be a priority in your daily routine. And finally, we have empowerment. We stress the second syllable, empowerment, empowerment. And in general, this is a way that you physically and mentally feel like you have control and autonomy and pride. For example, empowerment is crucial for building confidence. And if you want to build confidence in your English speaking, make sure to review all of these slides and really have empowerment for studying English. Our next group of words is about idioms and phrases in American English. We have piece of cake. So piece of cake refers to something that is very easily done. For example, the exam was a piece of cake. That means the exam was so easy. I didn't have to stress about it at all. And next we have break the ice. Don't forget to stick your tongue between your teeth for the TH sound, the. All together, break the ice. So break the ice means that you are starting off with maybe a way of having a conversation with a new person or a new group of people. For example, funny stories are a great way to break the ice. And next we have cold turkey. We stress the first syllable in turkey, turkey. So cold turkey usually refers to quitting something without any assistance or preparation. For example, he quit smoking cold turkey. That means he quit smoking without any preparation or any sort of special nicotine gum to help support the quitting process. He just decided to do it. And next we have the melting pot. We stress the first syllable in melting, melting. So you know that melting means a frozen or solid substance is heated up and then it becomes liquid. And if you have different substances melting together, then it all becomes mixed. So we can say that America is often described as a melting pot of cultures. It means that we have many different cultures which have arrived in America and they melt or they all combine together. And next we have chase the American dream. We stress the second syllable in American, American. The American dream is an idea of prosperity that you can achieve while in the United States. For example, many immigrants chase the American dream for a better life. The next group of very important American English words is about technology trends. We have augmented reality with stress on the second syllable, augmented, augmented. And you remember that reality has a stress on the second syllable, reality, reality. Augmented reality is most often shortened to the acronym AR, and most of the time you'll hear native speakers simply saying AR, which means augmented reality. For example, AR is being used in apps to enhance shopping experiences. Sometimes you'll notice that new apps will let you try on a pair of sunglasses, even though you're just using your smartphone. This is an example of augmented reality. And next we have cryptocurrency, with a stress on the first syllable, cryptocurrency, cryptocurrency. And of course, you know that currency is a kind of money which normally differs from country to country, and now with technology trends, it also refers to digital currency. For example, cryptocurrency has become a popular digital asset. And next we have Internet of Things. We have stress on the first syllable, Internet of Things, Internet of Things. And commonly, you will hear this shortened to the acronym IoT. For example, IoT devices are becoming part of everyday life. And next we have machine learning. We stress the second syllable in machine, machine. And learning, we stress the first syllable, learning, learning. So of course, with technology trends, we are coming up with systems which can learn how to improve their processes. For example, machine learning is improving predictive algorithms. And finally, we have blockchain. We stress the first syllable, blockchain, blockchain. For example, blockchain technology offers secure online transactions. And our next group of words is about social issues. First off, we have income inequality, with stress on the first syllable, income, income. Inequality, we stress the second syllable, inequality, inequality. Altogether, income inequality. And this refers to the gap of salary that's earned between the highest earners and the lowest earners. For example, income inequality remains a significant issue. And next we have social justice. We stress the first syllable in social, social, and the first syllable in justice, justice. Social justice refers to trying to improve social conditions by recognizing groups of people that have more challenges than other groups. For example, she's actively involved in social justice campaigns. And again, we have sustainability with the emphasis here at the end, sustainability, sustainability. And you remember that this is progress made without harming the environment. For example, businesses are focusing on more sustainability practices. And next we have gun control. We stress the second syllable in control, control. Altogether, gun control. And of course, you know that this is a very hot topic, especially in American English. For example, gun control is a highly debated topic. And next we have immigration reform. We stress the third syllable, immigration, immigration. And in reform, we stress the second syllable, reform, reform. Immigration reform, of course, refers to policies which affect how people are allowed to enter the United States if they're foreigners. For example, immigration reform is a key political issue. Our next group of words is about modern life challenges. First, we have work-life balance. In balance, we stress the first syllable, balance, balance. And this is about working the appropriate number of hours and also resting the appropriate number of hours so that you can have a healthy balance between your work life and your personal life. For example, achieving a work-life balance is challenging. Next, we have digital detox. We stress the first syllable and we tend to soften that T sound. Digital, digital. And detox, we stress the first syllable, detox, detox. And a digital detox is when you take a break from looking at your phone or looking at your computer constantly to detox your body from all of the digital usage. For example, a digital detox can improve mental health. And next we have climate anxiety. We stress the first syllable, you remember, in climate, climate. And anxiety, we stress the second syllable, anxiety, anxiety. And this refers to the kind of fear and worry that many people are experiencing because of climate change. For example, climate anxiety is affecting more people each year. And next we have privacy concerns. We stress the first syllable in privacy, privacy. And concerns, we stress the second syllable, concerns, concerns. So privacy concerns are typically worries or fears or anxieties that people have about their private lives being made public, especially with the use of social media. For example, privacy concerns with technology are growing. And finally, we have affordable housing. We stress the second syllable in affordable, affordable. And housing, we stress the first syllable, housing, housing. So affordable housing refers to the issue of being able to pay for an appropriate kind of home based on the salary that you're earning. For example, affordable housing is scarce in many cities. And our next group of words has to do with American history, and we'll start out with the Founding Fathers. We stress the first syllable in fathers, and don't forget to put your tongue between your teeth to make the TH sound. Fathers, fathers. Altogether, Founding Fathers. And these refer to the first group of leaders in the United States who helped form the country. For example, the Founding Fathers played a role in America's independence. And next we have Civil Rights Movement. We stress the first syllable in civil, civil. And movement, we stress the first syllable, movement, movement. The Civil Rights Movement in the United States was an extremely important time in history that fought for the equality of all people no matter their racial identity. For example, the Civil Rights Movement was a pivotal era in American history. And next we have the Great Depression. We stress the second syllable in depression, depression. You might be used to seeing this word in a mental health context, but it also applies to economic times, and the Great Depression in the United States was a period of economic downfall. For example, the Great Depression was a severe economic downturn. Next, we have American Revolution. Don't forget that we stress the second syllable in American, American. And revolution, we stress the third syllable, revolution, revolution. And this was the period in American history where Americans rebelled in an effort to have a revolution against the British who controlled the United States at the time. For example, the American Revolution led to the country's independence. And finally, we have westward expansion. We stress the first syllable in westward, westward. And expansion, we stress the second syllable, expansion, expansion. This was a time in American history where most people who lived on the East Coast at that time were encouraged by the American government to spread to the western side of the continent. For example, westward expansion shaped the early United States. Our next group of words is about science and exploration. We have NASA. NASA is the organization in the United States responsible for space travel. For example, NASA is planning another mission to Mars. And we have, again, biodiversity with a stress here, biodiversity, biodiversity. Bio is the shortened version of biology. So, biodiversity has to do with the biological diversity or range of plants and animals that exist in nature. For example, protecting biodiversity is essential for the environment. Next, we have genetics. We stress the second syllable, genetics, genetics. The word genetics comes from genes, which of course has to do with our DNA. For example, genetics research has advanced our understanding of diseases. And next, we have renewable energy. You remember that we stress the second syllable in renewable and the first syllable in energy, energy. Renewable energy, of course, refers to energy sources that can be reproduced or regrown. For example, renewable energy sources are key to reducing carbon emissions. And finally, we have conservation efforts with a stress on the third syllable, conservation, conservation. And efforts, we stress the first syllable, efforts, efforts. Altogether, conservation efforts. And this refers to processes which try to reduce harm to the environment. For example, conservation efforts are crucial for endangered species. And our next group of words is about arts and literature. We have abstract art with a stress on the first syllable, abstract, abstract. So together, abstract art refers to a kind of art where you can't clearly see what it's a painting or an image of. If you think of Picasso, Pablo Picasso's work is a good example of abstract art, where sometimes the forms and the shapes and the images make it unclear to see. It's not necessarily based in reality, but the shapes and the colors are still meant to evoke an experience just like all kinds of art. For example, abstract art challenges traditional perceptions of art. Next, we have classic literature with a stress on the first syllable, classic, classic. And you remember, literature we tend to say quite quickly with a stress on the first syllable, literature, literature. So classic literature refers to works of literature from the past that have a particular standing and are usually taught in academic programs. For example, classic literature includes works by authors like Mark Twain and Emily Dickinson. And next we have cultural heritage with a stress on the first syllable in cultural, cultural. And heritage, we stress the first syllable, heritage, heritage. And this refers to parts of our culture that we can look into history to pinpoint the origins. For example, preserving cultural heritage is important for future generations. And we have poetry slam with stress on the first syllable, poetry, poetry. So a poetry slam is a special event where poetry is presented. For example, poetry slams provide a platform for spoken word artists. And finally, we have art galleries. You remember that galleries has a stress on the first syllable, galleries, galleries. For example, art galleries play a vital role in supporting local artists. Okay guys, this is our last slide, and don't forget, click up here to download all of these to study and take a quiz at the end to make sure that you've learned all 250 very important words in American English. This group is about lifestyle trends. Minimalism, we stress the first syllable, minimal, minimal. So minimalism refers to the opposite of consumerism, where you only try to maintain the bare minimum in your lifestyle. For example, minimalism is about simplifying your life and possessions. Next, we have urban gardening. We stress the first syllable in urban, urban. You remember that suburban means outside of an urban area, so far away from a city. So of course, urban means in a city, in a densely populated area. Gardening, we stress the first syllable, gardening, gardening. Altogether, urban gardening refers to people who try very hard to make gardens in tightly crowded spaces like cities. For example, urban gardening is popular in city apartments. And next we have wellness retreats. We stress the first syllable in wellness, wellness. And retreat, we stress the second syllable, retreats, retreats. So wellness retreats are places that people go for a short period of time that focus on their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. For example, wellness retreats offer a break from the stress of daily life. And next we have sustainable living with a stress on the second syllable, sustainable, sustainable. Living has a stress on the first syllable, living, living. And of course you remember that sustainable has to do with protecting the environment by not taking too much. For example, sustainable living practices are becoming more widespread. And finally, we have DIY culture. DIY is an acronym for do it yourself. But most of the time, you're going to hear native speakers simply say DIY. In culture, we stress the first syllable, culture, culture. So DIY culture is kind of a movement or a mindset amongst people in society that want to make things themselves instead of buying something. For example, DIY culture encourages creating and repairing things yourself. And finally, our last group of words is about global influence. For example, cultural exchange. Remember that culture stresses the first syllable, cultural, cultural. And exchange, we stress the second syllable, exchange, exchange. So this is when people from different cultures exchange their ideas and values. For example, cultural exchange programs promote understanding between countries. Next is globalization. We stress this syllable here in globalization, globalization, which is the process of exchanging and communicating in a global, international sense. For example, globalization has connected economies around the world. And next we have American cuisine. You remember that we stress the second syllable in American. American. Cuisine stresses the second syllable, cuisine. Cuisine. American cuisine refers to typical American food and recipes, which has a bit of a bad reputation. For example, American cuisine, like burgers and fries, is popular worldwide. Next, we have English as a second language. We stress the first syllable in English, English. And second, we stress the first syllable, second, second. And language stresses the first syllable, language, language. But of course, you're familiar with hearing English as a second language shortened to its acronym ESL. For example, English as a second language, or ESL, classes are in high demand globally, and I'm sure that's why you're here with me today. And finally, we have international relations. We stress the third syllable, international, international. And relations, we stress the second syllable, relations, relations. And this has to do usually in a political sense of how countries conduct their diplomacy amongst each other. For example, international relations are key to addressing global challenges. So guys, I hope you enjoyed our 250 very important words in American English. Don't forget to click here to download and study so that you do great on that quiz at the end. It's been a pleasure teaching you today. Hope to see you again soon. I'm Kay with ISpeakSpokeSpoken. See you next time. Bye!